In many ways, Star Citizen is a game of extremes, at least in terms of the opinions it gets from its community, and even those outside of the community. Many will tell you that the game continues to improve and has evolved substantially. Others will tell you it's the same old, same old. So what do I think about all that? Well, bear with me just a bit and we'll get to that further into the video. Now, as always, when an update arrives for Star Citizen, in this case patch 3.8, I've been playing it over the past few days, and today I really want to give my thoughts on my experiences. Now naturally, this isn't going to be all good, but there is a lot of good here, so please do be aware that I am a long-time backer of Star Citizen, I am a long-time fan of the game, but I'm also a realist, so I will call it as I see it, as I always do in all of my videos with every game. So Star Citizen then is absolutely stunning. It's a gorgeous looking game, and that continues to be the case even more so with patch 3.8. Right here then, we're looking at one of the new orbital stations which arrived with this update, and it's orbiting at the brand new planet of microTech. These stations serve as rest stops. Basically means you can refuel your ship, rearm, repair, and buy a few goodies while you're inside, such as armor and other essentials. Now on this particular one, I couldn't find any weapons for sale here, which felt a little bit missing, but I guess that's just how it is, not everything can be obtained in one location. There's also a bunch of food places here. Now as yet you can't buy any food here, but I'm looking forward to when that does eventually become a thing. Star Citizen after all does intend to have certain elements of survival mechanics, something we've seen a little bit of in a recent CitizenCon demo, where your characters basically suffer from the elements down on the planets. So if it's too cold or if it's too hot, I guess you will suffer the consequences of that if you don't take care of yourself. But that's all something for the future. For now then, one of the things that impresses me the most with Star Citizen, particularly with patch 3.8, more so than with every update before it, is the sense of scale that the new microTech brings to the game. As I said in my previous video on the planetary tech, this very much left me with a feeling of wanting to spend hours upon hours just flying around the planets and even walking around them. For now at least then, there's nothing else that comes close to comparison. CIG really have outdone themselves here, and as this is an iterative process, they should continue to improve over the coming patches. And basically this is great because, as anyone who's watched my videos for any length of time will know, that I absolutely love exploration. And by this I mean roaming around vast worlds, whether they're down on planetary surfaces or up in space. I could basically go on forever and ever about planetary tech and gorgeous environments to explore and walk around. But I'm going to save you that, I'm not going to do that to you all. Instead I'll go on to a few other subjects, but meanwhile I'll play some footage of these stunning environments. Now, the other subject I see coming up a lot whenever I see comments about Star Citizen, aside from the obvious, is gameplay and the various gameplay loops that exist herein. And yes, this bit of footage is actually accelerated, just to basically give us a time-lapse and overview of some of the surfaces here. A lot of clouds, a lot of weather patterns going on. But yeah, gameplay. Now, patch 3.8 introduced one new mission, a handcrafted mission. This is an Origin Jump 890 mission, where you have to board one of the largest ships whilst in space and actually infiltrate it. And this really does put to some good use the great interiors that the massive spaceships actually have. Now, I'm not going to lie, when missions work in Star Citizen, they do work very well. They're very playable, and I do think, personally, they're very, very enjoyable. But that said, as many of you will no doubt know, the missions also have a number of problems. This one here being no exception, so I'm just going to show it as I found it. So the idea here is to get aboard the large vessel here, which to all intents and purposes is a luxury starliner. It's been boarded and taken over by hostiles. The first challenge is to get inside, and to me that wasn't obvious. But that could easily be a large part of the problem. It might just be a case that it wasn't obvious to me and that I was being rather dumb here. It wouldn't be the first time. But as far as I could try, there was no easy route in. It wasn't until later on then that I considered to attempt to blast open the docking hatch. So later on I came for a second attempt, This time it was protected by goons in spaceships. Now these NPCs weren't here the first time, I've no idea why, and for that I was pretty grateful. As many of you will no doubt know, I tend to suck a little bit when it comes to combat and spaceships. It's not really my greatest strength, but nonetheless I did manage to get through it after losing my ship a number of times. Now the NPC ship AI is pretty good here, and it does seem to have improved over the previous updates. That said, however, aside from finding it a little difficult, I did find that the ships tried to ram you from time to time. Not so much that they were trying to take down your shields, but sometimes they simply flew in a straight line and headed straight towards you, destroying you in the process. But to be perfectly fair, that really was the exception rather than the rule. Anyway, I eventually made it back to the mission objective, this time with the intent to blast open the docking bay. Now, to be perfectly clear here, I have no clue as to whether this is the way we're meant to do it, but what I do like is that it does require a bit of forethought and a little bit of ingenuity as to how to best approach the missions. Now, getting from your own ship to the target ship should be easy, you simply EVA over there, but this did pose a little bit of a problem. As soon as I was within range, I got caught by the ship's gravity well, and this caused me a lot of problems. Most notably, as soon as I impacted on the ground, I was shot to death by the hostiles. So next time around, I took my ship in a little bit closer with the intent to, well, not quite dock in the landing bay because I can't, there's already a ship in there, but this time to try and get my ship as close as possible to the ground and also use my guns if necessary to take out some of the hostiles that are actually in the docking bay. To be perfectly honest here though, this does feel as though I'm doing a bit of a hatchet job, and it feels as though I'm not really playing it as intended. But without any obvious markers, without any clear instructions as to how to approach this, I was at a bit of a loss, and this seemed the most convenient and the best option. Perhaps the other argument could be that I was especially unlucky here and just had a bit of a bad encounter with a number of things going wrong that really perhaps shouldn't have done. But it just seemed no matter how many times I did this particular mission, it just never went well. Now, I know in the past, when reading comments when I've shown missions like this, I've been accused of cherry-picking at the bad points and the bad footage. That couldn't be further from the truth, and I'm simply just highlighting my experience here. At any rate, I eventually got inside the ship, and as I mentioned early on, I think it's absolutely fantastic that CIG are using these fast ships as mission objectives and mission interiors. After all, these places really do feel like entire mission levels, so it only makes sense. And with the number of large ships that are in the game, this can only get better over time. And with these missions currently being handcrafted, as well as the possibility perhaps in the future for a certain amount of procedural content, the sky really is the limit when it comes to potential here. As much flack as Star Citizen gets in certain circles, I do think it's making decent progress. Now for sure it has taken a very long time about it, but I'm not here to judge that, at least not here in this video. After all, that's an entirely different subject, and it's a subject for another time. But looking at the face value of things here, the game is coming together. It seems so at least very well. Every time there's a new big update, it does add something fairly substantial to the game. Now personally, and this is just my personal opinion, so do keep that in mind, and I'm sure your mileage will vary, but for me at least, I don't think there's quite enough content here, at the moment at least, to keep me occupied for hours and hours and days upon days at a time. But I think in a large part that is due to the fact that I am a solo player. Always have been with games. I like to be a lone wolf, but if you're a multiplayer type person, if you like to team up with your friends, then I'm sure you'll get many more hours out of Star Citizen as it currently stands. And really, my experience with the 890 jump mission is far from typical. That's really not the way most missions tend to go. For the most part, I tend to not really have any issues at all. And that really does hold true for all mission types, whether it's clearing out hostile NPC ships from mining claims or taking on the numerous delivery missions. For me then, how would I sum up Star Citizen here at the end of 2019 with all the bunch of content that has arrived over the previous years? Well, for me, it's more than a game. It really is an experience. And that quite naturally means it's a mixed bag. There's a lot of great things in here, and there's a lot of not so great things. But it does feel at least that over time, the not so great things are very slowly diminishing, being replaced by the many good things. In fact, it's now very easy to jump into Star Citizen and pretty much instantly find these great things. And whilst that does mean you're going to have to put up with being hit in the face with numerous bugs, it's something that I'm nonetheless more than willing to put up with. Final few points then. As of patch 3.8, if you're here for the gameplay, then there is a reasonable amount of it, although that will be subjective, and it would largely depend on whether you're a single player or a person who likes to play multiplayer. And if, like me, you're the type of player that can get lost in beautiful environments, then already as of patch 3.8, Star Citizen is in a very good position, and I really do look forward to seeing the future locations. Now there's one other big thing that's come with patch 3.8, and that is SOCS, or Server-Side Object Container Streaming. And I've left this till last because I don't really have a huge amount to say about it, although it is a big change for the game. It basically brings a whole bunch of new stability and performance improvements to the game by loading in only the content that players need at any particular moment. And this is in quite a contrast to previous on the servers where a whole load of stuff was loaded in regardless of whether it was actively needed or not. So yes, in concept, this should bring huge performance gains, and something we should be able to tell more of over the coming weeks and the coming months. I'll leave off now then with a close-up look at some of the detail down here on the surface of microTech.